I'm Jason Goliath.
And I'm Nicholas Goliath.
And this is a new podcast called The Happiness Economy, where we try and unpack, figure out, investigate, interrogate, I think holistically understand what is happiness even.
What is it to you? What is it to me? Is it different? Is it the same? What do you do to chase your happiness? Just chase it. We want to chat to people who we believe have found their happiness or are on the way to finding their happiness and find out what it is that makes them happy.
So, if you're happy, we're happy. The Happiness Economy with Nicholas and Jason Goliath. Tell her what you must. On today's episode of The Happiness Economy, you work so hard for people to see you, recognize you, and embrace your individuality. And then you get called Carvin because apparently he's the only big, funny colored guy in South Africa. So joining us on The Happiness Economy today, the great Carvin Goldstone.
Hey, man.
Two
You know,
Carvins
let
don't
me
make
just
it
say,
right.
I did a corporate thing,
Yeah.
and I'm done. And then this person comes up to from the company. Hey, I'm watching. I'm thinking, how come I've never met this Goliath? I was like, excuse me. She says, I know all the Goliaths, but you I've never met.
Goliath are you now?
What Goliath is this?
Yes. Yes, I don't know what's worse, to assume that you must be a Goliath or to go, you are Carvin Goldstone. But at least they gave you a broad, like, you know what I mean?
I guess.
No, that's just South Africa. All the Goliaths, the four of us, are from Cape Town. That's the standard. So where in Cape Town are you from?
So we are, I think, excited is an understatement. We're going to try and make this one as concise as possible because it could go on for hours.
And
But
Carvs has English.
we need
got
to
words.
focus. He's got English, he's got words, and he's got a newborn that he needs to get back home to. So
no rush.
That's why I said this is the first podcast he said yes to. He's like,
Yes.
oh, what can I tell her?
Yes, you mean I can leave Durban? Yes, I'm on my way.
I'm in no rush.
I am on the way.
Although there's champagne beans at home.
When you have lighties in your 40s,
I made a
what else
suggestion.
must
I said,
happen?
when I come back from Johannesburg tomorrow,
Yeah.
I want to come back to champagne beans.
In the summer, isn't it hot?
No, well, I live in Hillcrest. It's cold all the time.
And it's so, but
Suffering for doing well in life.
Durban never ever had cold places. And if you wonder why you perspire in Durban, because you can't afford levies in Hillcrest. That's what I want to say.
It's cold all the time.
You know, it is what it is. Cubs, the reason we do this podcast is we invite people on who we perceive to be happy. And we think that, you know, this pursuit of happiness that everybody's so desperately on is made more difficult by perceptions. And you look at somebody's life in a little window of somebody's life that they can show you publicly on social media, and we make so many assumptions. And our assumption from that is that not only has Carvin always been happy, but in the last couple of years you've got married, you've had another kid, so it feels like Carvin season 2, and we feel like the happiness is just even more. Not only do you have a kid at a late stage in life, but you have a kid with a doctor, a colored doctor, which is also like your life just got even better, like by the old people sayings and the old people standards. They're like, yo, you've ticked some boxes. And all we're trying to do here is try and interrogate it. Our belief is through this process, we've learned that it's not that happiness doesn't exist, but it doesn't exist the way we think it does. And the pursuit is futile in the sense that you can't chase it. You can only be right now and be closer to your happiness.
And understand that the fairy tale ending of happiness is not the reality that we love. Because that's what we're taught, is that you're going to find the perfect person, perfect job, and then you're going to be fine.
Because you're living through people's windows. I blocked them. If someone looks like they're having like a better life, I blocked them.
You don't need to look
I don't want to look at your life. You make me.
You joke. Because you know how sensitive we are. I somehow realized by accident that Tats and Konzo stopped following me.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't say anything because we hadn't had a beef, and I thought, hey, maybe when I see that, we can talk about what I did. We can talk about what's up. And I saw, because it was COVID times, I saw the guy like 12 months after that for the first time face to face, and I was finally able to go, Chief, you unfollowed me. And he said, yo, guy, I couldn't take any more of this. When you follow Jason's Instagram every day, happy. Hey,
happy,
nice times.
happy.
Oh, look where I am now.
No, but that's
then
the
he
real
said I had
thing.
to unfollow you, dog, because your life was getting in my head, and I didn't want your life to get in my head that way. So I received that. 3 pillars. 3 pillars.
Yeah.
Gratitude, acceptance, perspective. We honestly believe that everything linked to happiness and the way you want to feel can fit somehow under those 3 pillars. We speak about gratitude in the sense that it's something that you've got to be close to. You've got to be close to your gratitude at all times. And our wish is always that you are first grateful before you are anything else. What does gratitude to mean to Carvin?
So I live by a philosophy, and this is philosophy, by the way.
Yeah, let's go.
No, I'm saying what you're doing is
Yes, we try.
I live by a philosophy or a way of seeing the world that, and it's not like just a perception. It's a genuine belief that I've received in this life more than I deserved.
Yes.
And so I reflect on my life all the time. Like a lot of us, we have very sad sob stories.
Yeah, all over.
Origin
about
stories.
how we came from maybe a single mother home, or parent died, or
Trauma at some point.
or poverty. My story is not like that. It's actually I've lived a charmed life from the time I was a child. When I reflect on my childhood, I don't have too many moments where I'm like, ooh, my father did this or he left or whatever. My father's been like ever present in his 60s. Coincidentally, my father was an orphan. He grew up in an orphanage. He lost his mother when he was a child. She was knocked by a bus, and his brother was killed, I think, at the same time. And so when your father's like grown up in an orphanage, trust me,
You can't complain.
the levels of struggle,
Very different.
everything looks amazing.
Yeah.
When he tells you the
Yes.
story. My father used to tell me the story. I used to wash 300 pots. You know how dirty homeboys get? Because they had like this
No, wash this one.
So you always say to me, wash the pot. Because, we didn't have showers.
Yeah.
People,
What? No.
like
No.
showers is
No,
like
no,
the thing that's
No.
really
Don't
new.
you have
You
a
had the
gag about-
handheld tap.
Shots.
I had a gag about that's how you knew people were rich, because they could make it rain in the
Yeah.
house. Yeah.
We didn't have... we didn't have showers, bro.
No.
Like,
No one
You
had
know
a
those
shower.
people that came with that fancy coil
Yeah, the
thing?
wraparound.
And,
Yes.
and then the hand thing, we're like, ooh.
Yeah.
Your father must be a
We
doctor.
had the rubber one.
Yeah.
That you could plug onto the taps to
Oh,
make your
wow.
own mixer.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it wasn't even like the taps were a mixer. There was a rubber device
that's what it's
that
called.
had the
Yes.
thing attached to it, and even that you were Alani. You had an adapter, and you were Alani.
So when my dad would tell me stories about growing up in homes, bruh, it's impossible to then look around me
And not be
and
grateful.
not be like, then I've received a lot here.
I'm poorly.
And so since a child, I've always believed I've received more than I deserve, because my mother. Okay, so what? And the thing is, who you are right now, as well as we all doing. There's no way to guarantee that down the line, our families, our nieces and nephews, they continue like
100%.
this thing you built on
To
because
grow.
My father and my mother's family, my great grandfathers on both sides, were extremely wealthy,
Okay.
like beyond.
Yeah.
Like my great grandfather Samuel Goldstone owned 12 kilometers of land on the south coast. So you think of Ifafa, Hibadine, those are all Goldstone
Are
territories.
those things still in the family, bro? Are you
Yeah,
still...
they're still in some parts of the family.
Nice.
But okay, but not in my section, because when my grandmother was killed, my father and his siblings, there was no one to look after them, because his father, my grandfather, wasn't able to look after all of them. So they sent all the children to orphanages. So in sending them to orphanages, my father grew up in an orphanage, but they sent them to different orphanages. And a lot of people don't know this, that only colored children at that time had orphanages. Orphanages wasn't for everybody. It was for the children that came out of those situations.
Illegal homes.
Illegal homes, yeah. So a lot of the kids in there came from all
Those
mixed
that
up
were born a
setups.
crime.
Yeah, so a lot of those kids came from those setups. So my father, like the life that he lived, did not reflect the fact that he came from someone next door.
From money.
And equally with my mother, my great grandfather on my mother's side, Henry Lewis Paul, owned sports clubs. He owned businesses, property. He was initially a interpreter in the courts in Natal, and he came from India.
Yeah.
And my granny would say to me, my grandfather had cars when white people didn't have cars. That's how wealthy they were. But my mother grew up in a 1-bedroom with all her sisters. So everything by that stage. So by the time I come, both my parents have come from like very extreme.
Yeah.
And they've done everything. So, especially like today when you're a parent and like it's almost like a badge of honor to tell your child, you don't know nothing about how we grew up.
We walked 15 kilometers.
Which is all lies too. Because like generally, like they'll say, I was 5 and I walked 15. Like no 5-year-old can judge distance.
No. You could see the school. We've been to your old house.
No 5-year-old can measure. I think it was 15.
If my one step is 1 meter.
That's made up stuff mostly. And so so I've lived my whole life fully aware that I'm now receiving more than I deserve. Also, I grew up in Newlands East, a part of Newlands East that was very poor.
Yeah.
And so we were the kids in Newlands East, my sister and I, that had Mnet. The whole thing.
The red
was
7 boy.
Yeah.
7 o'clock, we not panicking.
We are.
We not panicking at 7 o'clock. We not worry about no, bro, this thing's sticking.
And every night the neighbors are going, hey, maybe they forgot to switch it off. Because everyone used to leave you till 4 minutes past, just so you
Just to
can see
tease
the
you.
start
Yeah.
of carte
Just
blanche
to
and get
tease
happy.
you.
And then say, tsa.
Yeah, so and I remember my parents bought my sister and I rollerblades when rollerblades first came out. And like all the neighbors' children were like, especially in a hood.
Yeah.
Like these are new things, bruh. Like, and I remember everyone reminded me, like as in growing up, hey, you all had rollerblades. Like and so again, when I got into the different stages of my life, I've been fully conscious that in terms of gratitude, I've got way more than I could have ever imagined or deserved.
When you look back, is there a little bit of gratitude that your parents went through what they went through so that you could, because if your parents came with, they were both wealthy, the gratitude that was instilled in you is very different. You know what I mean?
Because the gratitude
So like if
comes
your
from
parents
perspective.
didn't go through what they went through,
No, I don't wish my parents went
no,
through.
but I'm saying, I'm not saying you wish it. But I'm
no,
saying,
no.
is there an acknowledgement that
Yeah,
your gratitude is easier because of what they went through?
Yes, definitely easier because of what they went through. But I wish they didn't have to go through.
Yeah, we all,
the trauma.
obviously. No, obviously.
But yeah, it is what it is, and so from that
Yes.
point we move forward. Like, and so gratitude. My father's also someone who he's such a he's someone who fills the room. Like he's one of those people that when he steps in the room,
Presence.
he takes control, like just by being there. And so my whole life I've always like watched him.
Yeah.
Like take up space.
Yeah.
And he also speaks measured. He doesn't speak like me or you. He has one word, 2 words. He breaks up when he speaks. So you can't do anything. You have to stop and listen. And so like observing him has been like a beautiful experience because I've seen someone like who's had nothing.
Yeah.
Like literally, like we talk about nothing.
Nothing.
Before I tell horrible stories about like
We had
nothing.
Wash 300 bars. I shared the underpants with 4 other hoes. I used to only be able to wear undies on Mondays and Sundays.
And my father, because he was supposed to die so many times. He was struck by lightning once at the house, and we were just like chilling, and it was raining. He goes to see where the door is happening, and he gets struck. And we're trying to carry him. We put him down on the bed, and he's like proper. We phone the net care, and they come over. They do like a test. They're like, no, there's a heart problem. That's whatever. And so they're like, we take him to the hospital. And so we go there. They take him there, and I go inside, and they're like, it's gonna be 50,000 to see to him. And so I'm like, 50,000. I'm just gonna go in the car. I'm gonna beg.
We're checking the ass.
I'm gonna check it out. I go to my father. I say to him, Dad, I don't know what to do. And he says, put me in the car. Put me in the car. Take me home. If I die, I die.
Yeah.
But he didn't die. And then I took him home. And like he was shot because he used to be in the taxi business. My father was a taxi driver.
Yeah.
And then he was in the taxi business, a promotion You can be a rank manager, Kondai. I always wanted to be a Kondai.
Yeah.
They call him a Kachi in Cape Town,
Yeah.
conductor. I always wanted to be that because he's had the taxi, but my father's a Christian, right? So the taxi, in Durban taxis, they have names.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Snoop Dogg,
Yeah, I remember
Eminem,
Will Smith.
wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
Not Will
Yeah.
Smith, Fresh Prince.
Fresh
was my
Prince,
favorite
yeah,
in
and
our
Winters.
variety.
Our taxi was called To God Be the Glory, which is not the coolest name in the
But,
neighborhood.
yeah.
Yeah, all the kids, it's like, there's always teasing.
Yeah.
Like,
Only playing gospel.
you're playing Amazing Grace. What you playing that taxi there?
Why you put subs in?
My father got shot. He was there was a lot of taxi violence between the different areas in
Yeah.
Newland, Sianda, Kwamashu, and Tuzuma. Because they're using the same routes. They used to go out every week. Every night you had to go in the corner and kind of protect your route. And my father was shot, and they took the taxi. I was probably about 7 or 8, and they took him and he went to hospital. He still got the holes in his belly now, and he had a big belly, so they always like joke. Doctors were like, "Oh, it's the belly that saved you, so don't disrespect the
Very
belly."
much.
You know what I'm saying?
Very much. Shield on.
Yeah,
Just try not to get shot. But anyway.
try not to get shot.
Yeah.
Best.
Yeah, so like, and then I have to reflect, right? Because if I compare myself to you or to you or Pops or Wosiana or whoever, I'm gonna start feeling like, oh, I haven't got enough.
Yeah.
I deserve
then-
more.
Yeah.
So then where does that come from though? Because I feel like the world is suffering from comparison. We have
Yeah.
to, especially social media makes it so much easier for us to look at those snapshots and compare. And constantly be putting ourselves down going, I should be doing what Carvs is doing.
Yeah.
I should be.
Yeah, like Keenan Surf, I hope he doesn't mind me mentioning this. He came to stay with me for a week or so earlier this year, and every time he'll say, "Oh, this one," and I always say to him, "Keenan, comparison is the thief of joy." So we,
That's what our grannies used to do.
yeah, like
We used
I-
to ignore them.
and I say it in
Now
an
we
old,
understand.
in an old person's tone.
Keenan.
Comparison is the thief of joy. And every time you'll try and say, "Oh, this is," I'll say, "Keenan," say, "Yes, I know." Comparison is the thief of joy. And like, you know, that is
Yeah.
probably like the one way you can negate all the beauty that you are achieving. And there's a philosophy for that, you know, like where you have a bias, a negative bias.
Yeah.
And it's not just us that do that. It's everyone.
The world.
Like, you do a show as a comedian, and you know, we all know that feeling of two people not laughing or one person not
Yeah.
laughing and
Yeah,
almost stealing your attention in
Yeah.
the show.
100 people are laughing.
Yeah.
We don't care about them. It's the one that's
And you
not
got this
laughing.
Why are
negative
you?
bias to the negative,
Yeah.
right? And you like, now, and people do it in the comment section. You do a dope video or say something awesome, and then there's one comment is like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He must lose
Oh,
weight
so
or
what
whatever.
must we all
Can't
do
hear him through
comedy
the
now?
cholesterol. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then your brain kind of switches. So that's like an active thing that you have to almost like train yourself philosophically, be aware, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you can almost like step out of it.
I've never ever. So I heard about you a lot when we started comedy before meeting you. And people would always speak about the two greats in Durban, and it was yourself. And at the time, Neil Green had walked away from comedy, and they were like, "Ah, I can't wait if want to see Neil, want to see Neil, want to see Carvin." Like that's how it was. Like you know, want to see Carvin when you see Carvin. And when we did get to experience you, it's never disappointed. You know, your brilliance, I think. Is,
I met you guys at Rosebank, I think, first time.
100%, and it was. I can still remember watching you for the first time and being in awe of your experience and also your skill. But in all of the years that I've known you, I've never ever got a vibe from you that you are jealous of anybody, that you compare yourself to anybody. You always just felt wiser than your age. And very comfortable in carven skin. Like you've been Grootman from day one, where it's like, you know, so I do a thing on stage where I go, a hint. A lot of people say they love themselves because I go, being happy is impossible, or acceptance, which is the next part after gratitude, is impossible if you don't love yourself. And a lot of people say they love themselves, but my trick question for everybody to check if you love yourself is, if somebody in your circle, whether it be your friend circle, your family circle, your work circle, has a big win, somebody that you say you like and you enjoy their company, and they have a big win, and your brain's first reaction is, why not me? You don't love yourself. It's like a weird thing that I've stumbled onto, where if you can't celebrate somebody else's victories, you don't love yourself yet. I've never felt that from you. I've always from you felt that you are happy for everybody to win. You seem to have this silent hustle that none of us truly understand, maybe because we haven't taken enough time. But is that true of you, that for a long time, and maybe longer than those around you, you were able to just find what you needed internally and know what Carvin wants, what Carvin is doing, and not be distracted by the noise on the left and right?
Yeah, so I would say as a child, I was a bit of a loner, and I kind of always trusted myself. Look, one thing that you have to realize is that growing up in Durban or growing up in Newlands East, you are required to be. I must be careful. I don't stereotype here, but you can't be too passive in the way you live your life, because those people around me growing up, okay, my experience.
And
Not every color.
from
Because
Elders,
there's
bruh.
colors who say that's not what I experienced. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't
No,
happen
that's
in
exactly
Houghton.
what I experienced.
But anyway, you have to be conscious that growing up here, being passive is a handicap. Now, I'm of the Machiavellian persuasion when it comes to philosophy, which is a dark. It's actually quite a dark philosophy. But Niccolo Machiavelli, in his book The Princes, when he looks at the princes of Florence, and I think he writes the book as a gift to one of the princes, he explains how, the idea that being good and being nice will eventually lead to something amazing.
Yeah.
And that he, in his assessment of the princes, it wasn't being nice, but it was a balance between being feared and being respected that actually brought the best results for the rulers. So the ruler that was too nice
Got taken advantage of.
and got taken out.
And there was no
Was
respect
killed.
for him.
Yeah. And the ruler that was too aggressive also got taken out because he was too much of a threat. And so the balance is to be good, but not too good that people feel they can take advantage of you, and to be for people to fear you, but not to the point where they want to take you out because you actually you're too intimidating to them. And so he's kind of the originator. His thoughts is the originator of the idea that nice guys finish last.
Yeah. But isn't that similar to the serenity period? Kind of the balance between knowing the difference between the things you can change, can't change, and then the balance between
So
the nice guy.
grant me the wisdom to know when to be nice.
To know when to be nice versus when to be...
Is the serenity prayer, is it a Christian prayer?
Yeah.
It's the Narcotics Anonymous, the Alcoholics Anonymous. Give me what is it? Give me the
strength,
the wisdom, the strength to
It's
change the
amazing
things.
to know the things.
to accept the things that can't change.
The things that I can't
And
change.
the
The wisdom
wisdom
to know the difference.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah.
So Machiavelli, interestingly, his views on why we're nice was linked to Christianity, and he didn't necessarily think it was a good thing. And so, in fact, when he wrote his works, the readers, because you must know, in the 1500s, everyone's very on heresy watch, waiting for someone to show Satan.
Yeah.
And so they
So
said,
we can burn you.
even when they read his book, he was actually exiled.
He's an
eventually.
agent of the
I
devil.
See, he said, I see the fingerprints of Satan in his writing, because he was saying that we, the society of the time, looks to Jesus as the example of the Son of God who lived his life holy and finished off in heaven at the right-hand side of the Father. But he says, from a very practical point of view, Jesus' way of living ended with him being murdered at 33.
Yes. Yeah.
So in a practical way of living for you who are not going to end up as the Son of God.
Not
Yeah.
gonna wake up on the third day.
He did not. Yes, not going to be resurrected
100%.
when you die.
Yeah.
He does not believe that that's a way that princes should rule.
Are you saying that that's the way you've lived your life?
So no, I'm not saying it's the way I've lived life. I'd say it's the way I kind of
Understand.
balance my life, because one of Machiavelli's big points was that you might be living righteously and be good, but there's people in your society
not.
that are using your persuasion towards goodness
They will use
to
your
take
kindness.
advantage of you, because they know where your default is. Did you ever watch? I hate to quote Fast and the Furious, but
F is for family. I said I'm gonna know the answer. Let's go.
I can't remember remember who it was. If it was Shaw, the first Shaw in Fast and Furious, he said to Vin Diesel, "You are," and you might know this better. He said, "You're predictable because I know that like family comes first."
Yes.
So
Yes.
I can tell you what you're gonna do, how you're
Because
gonna
I know
move,
what's important to you.
because I know what's important
Yeah.
to you. And Machiavelli's point was is that we, our parents, and we raise our children to be good. But there's people out there who because they know that that's their base, they know how to take advantage of them. And so, like, we always end up with maniacs as leaders in the world, whether it's Mugabe
100%.
or Trump or
Yeah.
Hitler. They always rise to the top.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're able to manipulate.
Spot the weakness and take
So
advantage.
they're able to. In fact, I was doing a business conference the other day, and I introduced a speaker on stage that did a keynote on leadership. And at the end, one of the leaders of the business said, "I hear you on leadership, but then tell me why Trump has over 200 million followers in the US." Then I said to the leader before because I saw him put the person on the spot and she didn't have an answer for him. Then I went on stage and I said, "Oh, I can tell you. It's because Trump says what those 200 million people want to hear." Trump does not necessarily go on stage and express his own views, but he goes and expresses views that are A, going to get a reaction, B, going to incite thought, feeling, emotion in a very specific type of person that he doesn't pretend doesn't exist. And it was like, there are going to be great leaders that will make people come together, make societies perform beyond society's capabilities and wildest dreams, and make societies better as a collective. But there are also leaders, as you say, who are going to come in and be parasites on the fact that everybody's good.
And with no shame.
Absolutely.
With no guilt.
Absolutely.
And that's the secret to the manipulation. Is
Yeah.
to not, because if you manipulated us, Nicholas
Yes.
and I,
Yes.
at some point there's a part of you that's like, hey, what I'm doing is wrong.
Absolutely. At some point you have that conscience, but it is a mistake to believe that everybody has a conscience.
No.
It's an even bigger mistake to believe that everybody's conscience has the same voice as yours. What I will say, though, is you possess something, and it's just switched on a light in my mind now, that even as I asked you, is that the way you live your life? As a perception, I can tell you that the way I would describe you is very similar to the way I would describe myself. And I don't describe many people that way, but it's the type of person that is the nicest guy you will ever meet, but I don't want to see him angry. It's like, you're the nicest person I'll ever meet, but I can also see that the line in the sand will be very, very clear. And also, it's very possible to get punched in the face by Carvin. It's not that he wants to punch anybody, but there's a
It's take a
definite
long
point.
time.
There's a definite point where we can get there.
But this is important for happiness.
It's
No,
very
it has
important.
to.
Because you have to know, you have to protect your base,
Yes.
your happiness base. And so you can't protect it if you don't know where the threats are. Because your happiness, okay, so the way I understand happiness is we, like the three of us sitting here right now,
Yeah.
we happy, right? We happy at a base.
Yeah.
We're happy here in the moment.
We get food just now, which we are getting. Thanks.
Yes.
I hope it's going well there, Eric. We're gonna go up a
Happiness
notch.
scale
Yeah,
goes
yeah,
up.
yeah.
We're not, maybe we might not go through the roof.
No, but we're going up a substantial notch.
But we're gonna go up a notch.
Yeah.
After that, we get some more good news. You're getting another baby. Whatever.
Down.
Okay,
Four
I'm
notches.
getting.
Yeah. Some more good news. I'm getting a new car. Leave the babies out of it.
Leave the babies
Leave
out
the
of
babies
it.
out
Okay,
of
I'll
it.
get the babies.
Yes.
You guys
It's
get
also
the cars.
understanding where your joy is.
Yes.
Because I can't want a baby because you got
Yes.
a baby and I see it makes you
I
happy.
saw Nicholas's iris go
No,
up
bruh,
in his jeans when
immediately.
you said another lighty.
So you
I
know,
saw his
okay,
iris
so
go.
that's not a okay.
No, that's no joy in my life. No, you know, I'm waiting for my current lighties to get out so I can. Bruh, I saw a meme the other day of, I can't remember the actor's name, but it's a scene from a movie, and the old pulls him and his cherry are in a room, and they pull a sheet off the square thing, and it's a pile of cash in the center of the room. And the thing simply says, your dad's bank account now that you moved out and stopped spending his money. Then I was like, yes, this is what I'm waiting for. So when you say another baby,
Okay.
I just see half that stack
Immediately.
Disappear.
And it's not that I'm chasing the bucks. It's just that I know my joy doesn't lie
Right.
with a new baby.
Because you got two already and you
Yes,
chilled. You know?
no.
Happy.
So you get a new car. Are you
Yeah.
cool with a car?
There
A
we
holiday,
go.
maybe?
Yeah,
New
whatever.
car.
Let's
Anything
go new
other than a
car.
baby.
Alright.
Yeah. I'll have a new chair.
But we get that.
But we get that.
We get the food, and then we get that news on
Yeah,
top
yes.
of that.
Yeah.
So then you up a notch,
Yeah,
right? And,
yeah.
and then the food gets finished.
Yeah.
We'll plateau down from that. And then the car, you drive the car for
It's not new anymore.
5 months. Your holiday is finished.
Yeah.
You come back from that.
Yeah.
But you come back to a base where we kind of
happy.
on. We might be a little bit higher right now
Yes.
than our base because we're together.
100%.
So the relationship, the human interaction. You know what? You know it's a weird thing. You ever like you do whatever you do, and then you just have a moment in the day to park on your bras and just talk nonsense.
Oh, the best.
Did you know that is actually like healthy, like for your actual body, because you actually feel the stress lift off you.
You just say to my throat directly, please. That is healthy.
Bro, it is the healthiest thing that you spend time with those people, those friends usually,
Yeah.
that make you feel stupid and
Yeah.
mock you, and you
because
mock
we're not
them.
speaking about real life with those friends.
My man,
We can just escape a little bit.
I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the adult life study, the Harvard adult life study.
no.
So it's the longest ever running study on human adult life. Some call it the happiness study even
Yeah.
because it measures happiness levels, and it was conducted in 1938.
Yeah.
1938 at Harvard.
Yeah.
And the group of students that it was conducted on, it was measuring what makes them happy. So they asked them in the start, like, what would make you happy?
Yeah.
And most of them are like, oh, I forgot more money, I got a better thing.
The basics.
Simultaneously in Boston, they get a group of about 400 kids from one of some of Boston's poorer communities, conduct the exact same study. Somehow independently, these two things happen at the same
Yeah.
time. And so every month or whatever, they question them, how are you doing today?
Yeah.
And they've been doing this since 1938. As time progressed, they find in those groups, they get married, so they include the wife.
Yeah.
They get children, they include the children. So there's now about 2,500 to 3,000 people in the study
Yeah.
till now. Longest running study
Yeah.
on like what makes you happy and whatever. So some in that group, there are people that have done amazing things. There's billionaires, there's like CEOs, there's Nobel Prize winners.
Yeah.
And there's even a US president. Robert F. Kennedy, as a child, was one of the
part of
people.
it.
He was part of
Yeah,
the study,
yeah.
right? There's Harvard students, so you're gonna get loads of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
very successful people eventually. And some of them are now in 90s. Some of them are dead. That's their age group, right
Yeah.
now, the first batch or whatever. And so now, after all you've achieved and everything you've done, what actually, like, when you look back, made you feel good? You'll be surprised how many of them said parking with their bras.
Because
Sitting with their friends and their family was what they remember most. It
not
wasn't their
things,
prize. It wasn't
not
their prize.
things.
No.
Not things, not a bank account,
No.
not a new
It was
parking.
It was
with
their
those.
human relations that
Yeah.
gave them, and even human relations are even a predictor of how long you'd live. So having bad human relations or being lonely is as bad as
being broke. Worse.
as obesity.
Yeah.
Even though you never feel alone. 'Cause you know what I mean? You always,
Or smoking, because loneliness, like, and these countries like Japan, like Tokyo,
Yes.
they got extremely high like suicide rates and all that,
yeah,
because being lonely, being alone and being lonely is not
Two
the same
different
thing,
things,
right?
yeah.
Because
Two different things.
being alone is actually like a bit of a skill.
and it's a choice generally.
Yeah, it's a skill to
Yeah.
also be alone and to be at peace.
be
and
okay with it. Yeah,
being
yeah.
lonely, there's about 6 of us in the room, and someone in here could be lonely
Yeah.
because they're not part of this conversation or they're tied up in their own thing. And so a lot of us are lonely in a crowd. And that loneliness is really where a lot of us lose our
Our joy.
our happiness, and also regression of the brain
Yeah.
is linked to like bad human relationships. So these human relationships
Could
are
you put
critical.
that in the same thing as, like, if you just sat down, eventually your muscles could atrophy?
Yeah.
It's the same with the brain.
Yeah,
If
the
you're
brain
not,
needs
If you're not engaging
constant-
with other people, you'll regress just like your muscles will regress if you don't move them.
Bro, think of it this way. Think of, like, we just laugh now.
Yeah.
Think of that feeling of like that niceness.
Yeah.
It's what we do for a living.
Yes.
bro. We
It's what we're
literally,
addicted to.
Yeah. Dude,
bro,
you know-
we stand on a stage and people that come in there their bases of happiness are all over the place.
Yes.
Like, we're talking about a base and then we have food, and some people's bases are below that.
Yeah.
No,
So-
but Jay and I often speak about the fact that there are people who go through an entire week without a laugh.
Yeah.
And it's a normal, everyday thing.
And some of them even want that.
Yeah.
Yes.
They don't even, it's not even considered. They don't even think about the fact that we haven't laughed today or
Yeah.
laughed this
What
week.
we laughing for?
Yeah. And that's just the norm for people. So then that base is definitely, it shifts for everybody. And that's another thing where the comparison is again taking away
Yeah.
your joy.
Look, for anyone who wants to be happy, you have to want it. Like,
Yeah.
you have to actually,
Yes.
because when I was young, for like in my teenage years, like 18, 19, I used to be quite a aggressive evangelical Christian, like door to door kind of thing. All completely like out of my own. No like coercion from my parents.
Yeah.
I had a group of friends. I still have the same group of friends till today.
And also you're a bigger, so you rock up at somebody's house like
I was-
like a bouncer for the Lord.
I was about to- and I had this friend that
Did
came-
you hear the good news?
I'm a lot more gentle than that, I'll tell you that. I don't knock. And I had a friend, he came from Malawi. His name was Jerry, and he was also like a very, and we'd go around preaching and whatever the case is. And we were quite
If he can't do it,
we're quite
Jerry
convinced about
can.
what we were doing. And Jerry,
Absolutely not. Now, do not clap for that.
don't clap.
Do not clap
that was
for
a
that.
good one.
That's disgusting. In the middle of a moment.
Yeah, a moment.
This is why no one
Sorry.
trusts
And
comedians.
a religious one too.
Yeah.
And Jerry would go to, and some people would just be, and so when you're doing that, you're literally in people's space, and you're at their home, and you're in their actual situation.
Yeah.
And some people would just be like, unhappy. And Jerry would preach, and he had it was from Malawi, he was fresh from Malawi too. He used to live by our house and whatever.
Yeah.
He'd say, some people are happy to be unhappy. And I couldn't understand it. I was like, what do you mean? But as time progressed, I kind of understood what he meant. What he was trying to teach me was that some people's base is unhappiness.
Yes.
They feel comfortable in unhappiness. They feel comfortable in strife and stress, and
that's all they know.
That's what they. And it's not. Look, it's the way they were raised. It's the environment they grew up in.
And it can often be a result of them not disappointing themselves.
Yeah.
Because they thought they were happy before and that thing was taken away.
For sure,
They
you
don't
lower your
rely on that.
expectations.
100%.
Right. You'll never be disappointed. There's a
Yeah.
philosophy. You never be disappointed if you lower your expectations.
Yeah, if you don't look forward to anything, hard to be disappointed.
And that base, now it's a case of like making sure that your base. We're not saying that you're going to be over the moon, eating food, going on holiday, driving cars all the time, but that your base is at least that I'm at base one happy, which is I'm not unhappy.
Yes.
I'm not depressed, because
Yes.
below that happiness base is we can start talking
Depression,
about
yeah.
depression. Yeah.
I remember Kibuka saying something to me about helping me set up the base. And it's weird, David Kibuka comes up in so many of these sessions.
And you only spoke to him like twice in your life.
But,
Those two conversations were fire.
Because Dave will keep you there for 4 hours in
Yeah.
these two conversations.
I spoke to him for
while
8
you're
years.
standing in the queue.
We had 2 conversations. And Dave said something about sometimes you've got to realize that either you know what your base is or you've got to realize that you don't know what your base is. And for all of us, he said he wishes that the base would be as simple as stopping and realizing right now I need nothing. And then I said, what does that mean? I need a lot of things, Brian. And he said, no, right now you need nothing. I said, okay, what does that mean? And he goes, well, if you think about what you're trying to do right now, what do you need? You need electricity, cool, the lights are on. You need cameras, cool, they're on. Everybody arrived. You need water. I got water. For right this second, there's nothing that we need that we don't have.
That's beautiful.
There's right in this second.
That's
he said,
beautiful.
He said sometimes you've got to be zoomed out to remind yourself that this is just a blip. And, my whole life is not this tragedy or this trauma that I'm going through. But he said sometimes you've got to be zoomed in, where you got to go, actually, I've got battery life in my phone. I've got kwais in my bag if I need a kwai. Right now, I need absolutely nothing. And he goes to, if you can make that your base, it makes everything else a lot easier.
I'm going to take that with me, but I'm not going to say Dave said it, because like telling people, you know what, Jason told me that Dave, it just feels like too long.
It is too
Yeah,
much. Now it's David and Goliath. It's a complicated, back to your
Like,
church story.
Jason told me. No, that's beautiful, bro. Because I would 100% say that in the most simple religious ways, they count your blessings, name them one by one.
Yeah.
It's like that if you actually looked at your immediate situation, you'd be okay.
So, because I look at your life and I go, I know there's absolutely nothing you need right now. I know you know your light is okay.
I need to pay
All your
SARS,
light
but
is.
that's
Yeah,
okay.
but that's all of us.
Eat,
That's
baby.
all of us. No, Cobbs phones me once a year to say, hey, bro, we need to chew. Then I never.
need to talk
I'm gonna
about
phone you back,
tax.
Cobbs. I'm gonna phone you back. These calls are recorded for quality purposes. I'm gonna phone you back. So we've been through gratitude. I think we've definitely been through acceptance. And I think you've just taken us through perspective as well, because perspective is that
Yeah,
life
you've
is
answered all of them.
5% what happens, 95% how you react. You are an intimidatingly smart person. I'm not generally intimidated by intellect, but I realized as I've gotten older, I am intimidated by somebody who has intellect by an academic standard, but he's also got the charm, creativity, wit, the other side that like people who got like me, C's and D's, would be comforted by the fact that, but at least I can make people laugh. I don't have to be clever. I can be charming.
I got an
in
F
a
with
work.
my matric
I
exam.
don't know. That's because you didn't study. That's because you didn't study. You know it and I know it.
Was it for PE?
You know it and I know it. But it's also like, I don't need to back that up. You're a celebrated journalist. You're a celebrated comedian, and in that description alone, I articulate what I'm trying to say. So, it's beautiful that you've been able to be both of those things. But was there a moment where you realized how in control you are, how in control you can be, and how? Because you always seem to, you spoke about your father being a very measured man in terms of the word he speaks. I'd like to consider you with the same. You're one of the most measured people I've ever met. You're measured in anger, because I've seen you angry online mostly, and incredibly measured. Terrifying when Carvin comes at you for something that you've said online and he's coming back at you. You're gonna Google some of those words because you're not gonna know what all of them mean. Was there a decision to be that measured?
Hey, bruh.
It's true, bro.
You know what? Okay, so we're discussing perspective.
Yes.
So the perspective that you have is like not the perspective I have of myself, but I can see what you're seeing. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So you don't see yourself necessarily through the same lens that the world sees you.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's an interesting thing. Like, I don't see myself. I'm not saying I don't identify as, but like when I'm walking through life, I don't see myself as fat.
You've not heard my joke that I walk through life like I've got a thin person hostage inside me because I move with a thin energy. I move with a thin man's pluck.
No, but I mean, I don't necessarily just mean it from a pluck section. I mean from a physical, because I used to be thin.
Oh,
And
no,
somehow,
I've never had that luxury.
in my eye, my eye of how I see myself, I still see myself that way. So I think I'm walking on and looking all slim. But the perspective of everyone else is, hey, who's this? Why is the bouncer emceeing?
It's so funny because Cobbs' bro once phoned me to be, hey, what shirts do you buy? She made him phone to say, what shirts do you? Your shirts fit you so lucky because he was still buying the slim fits. He was still buying the slim
story,
fits.
bruh. True story. Yo.
That's so beautiful. So what I love about that is that it's like the confidence thing. It's that you same thing you say about you having your flow. You're not for everybody, but you for somebody.
No,
so then
100%.
you've got to have that confidence.
And I'm not trying to be for
of-
everybody.
Yeah, you've got to have that confidence of it's fuck everybody. Fuck what you think. I know what I am. I know I'm a thin bra. Like in your mind, you've got to and it's and I'm saying it because the world will make you believe things about yourself that are not true.
In this case,
Okay, in this case, it's not.
it is true.
It's not true.
What
But
they think is true.
yeah, that's why you had to stop buying the slim fit shirts.
Okay.
Yes, you had to surrender.
Yeah.
Can I have a size 10X slim fit, please? 10X, but the slim fit. That before we wrap, because we're about to wrap, that measuredness in terms of your emotional response, whether you are happy, whether you're angry. You were saying that you don't see it that way. Is it that way? You can understand where I see it that way. because I honestly believe that a big part of your happiness comes from you being in control of what you give your power to. That's my perception of
Yeah,
you. Like
absolutely.
I'm inspired by you in the sense that I'm aspiring to get to a point where I'm not as reactive to things that shouldn't have my power as Carvin is.
You know, I had this conversation with my wife and my children about, I would say, about 2 months ago, and it seems like, oh, you have conversations, we'll just talk about such, but it was a serious conversation where I was explaining to them that they are the only people that have the power to hurt me.
Yes.
Because I'm giving them that power.
Yeah.
I've given my son, Jacob, I've given you this power. My daughter, Cara, I've given you this power. And my wife, Carmen, because my daughter can be brutal. Brutal fruit.
Because lights don't care.
But she
knows the power.
They know the
She's
buttons.
also got the gift. She got the gifted. You know the gift,
words.
the one we got?
Yeah.
She got the
Where
gift.
you can see people.
My son, I would say, doesn't have the gift in the same way, but she's definitely got the gift. And the timing and whatever. So she can also be sharp. And so the ability to control your environment is very much like, just that. It's just your environment. How far outside of that environment things come in and affect you, you almost have to let those things go. You gotta let it go. Like, do you bother much about what like someone says about you online? Is that like a big concern? It's a great place to not bother.
Yeah.
Like, and it's huge for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if my wife or my son said something, I would have to take that
Yes.
and like measure it and how I would really have to process my feelings. But I also do this thing. I'm not saying that I'm completely insulated from being hurt or being affected. I do a thing where I scan my body by saying names. So for example, I don't know if anyone else does it, but I'll say a name and then, like, let's say Jason.
Yeah.
And then I'll think, when I say Jason Goliath, how do I feel inside? What is, like, am I anxious? Does he make me feel anxious? Does he make me feel irritable? Am I just at peace? And I'm conscious of, I'm like actively conscious of who, because we can talk about people mostly, makes me uncomfortable and how I'm going to control that. I'm not hit by it by surprise. I know this person makes me uncomfortable because I say their name.
I don't think anybody does that.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that all of us should do.
Yeah. Because just think of
It's not
people.
just like you're running
say
a
the
test.
person's
Yeah.
name and just think of what
What's
does
the
your body
feelings
do
you have?
What
immediately.
do I honestly feel?
Yeah. What do I honestly feel when I hear that
Damn.
name?
Can I just say, so you were saying, you were talking about having the conversation you're throwing the light is, and how it sounds like you just have these conversations. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because I feel like that's where you get the confidence and the beliefs and philosophy that you live with.
Yeah.
Is from having those conversations. And I feel like in the world we don't have those conversations. We just make assumptions that everybody's fine, everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And
We do.
We neglect the importance of sitting down with our kids, with our families, and just having the conversations about, this is what I believe, this is how things are, that you are the ones who can hurt me. Because also we don't, like, especially with the wives, like your wife does something, you go, yo, I can't believe you did that to me. But you haven't had the conversation about this thing that you do actually hurts me.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to have those conversations with the people that we've entrusted our hearts to, so that they know that they're carrying our hearts and we're carrying their hearts. I can hurt my son and my daughter in ways, and we know how our parents could hurt us as children. You stupid, whatever the case was, name calling, you never. That stuff, like, and that stuff traumatizes people for most of their life, even like teachers or whatever the case is. And being conscious of that, having those conversations, because I'll tell you what, since having those conversations, and because we are funny, like we are a jokey family, like we laugh and joke a lot in our family.
Yeah.
So it's easy to cross lines.
Yeah. And it's easy to cross lines without intention. It's not like you have to
it's
intention
very
to
easy
hurt.
to cross lines. But having those conversations about what actually helps that sort of environment where we joke, because we know.
Is it fair to say then that, yes, teaching by example is very powerful, but there are some things that are so important that it needs not only the example, but also the articulation.
Yes.
So, for example, you're sitting down with your family. These are people who see the way you live your life. It's easy to go, oh, of course they can see what I'm doing. They should know what I'm doing. They should know why they should do the same. But sometimes it's the example and the articulation which helps things see. Because I also learned a lot of things in the last 5 years of my adult life that I thought I understood forever. And now the articulation meets the example, and after that only came true understanding of kind of how important it is to protect yourself by stepping out of giving a fuck what people think. I don't know how better to say that, and yet it's impossible to step out of that if you don't know who you are, where you are, what you are, why you are, and also if you haven't, because the biggest part of acceptance for me is so many of us have had to accept. So I know for a fact that, yes, you joke about the fact that because you weren't always a big guy, you walk around and in your mind you don't think you're a big guy. But I also know that you've accepted that you're a big guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're also not, because there's a version of a guy that's put on weight over the years and is in complete denial and hasn't accepted. In his mind, he's like, oh, this is just, my Christmas fat. I'm gonna walk it off.
Still wearing his slim fits.
I'm gonna walk it off. So it's like, I'm trying to just articulate all of these things, mostly because I need to hear them over and over and over again, because it's like we reset ourselves through our lives. So you had you're being a child, then you went through the stage of being a door-to-door religion salesman. But there was a set point there in terms of where your happiness was.
No, that was also an important part of my
100%, and all of these things I think are important. But there was a change in the level, a change in perspective, and a change in acceptance as life goes. And I think the most difficult part about happiness is it's not forever. It's you've got to work on it forever. You can find it only in the moment. But because it exists only in the moment, you got to work on it all the moments. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, you got to wake up every single day knowing that I'm still working on this.
Yeah,
it's
this
like
is
never,
a consistent.
This is never a thing that I get to a point
It's
where
dynamic.
I just 100%. Are you happy, my brother?
Yeah, I'm happy at a base. Yeah. So that goes up and it goes higher and it comes back. But my general base, I wake up in the morning very happy, and I'm up first. I'm smiling. I'm a morning person too.
Yeah.
So my day is set from the morning being happy, and I'm gonna say something that's maybe hard for some people to change.
Yeah.
But your partner plays a big role in your happiness, because you're walking through life with this person.
Yeah.
And so my wife is a very happy person. In fact, when I met her, the thing that struck me most about her was I was like, how happy is this person? This is not possible. Like,
I also wanted to know that Carvin married a beautiful doctor. So good looking plus doctor. Even me, I'll be happy every day. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. But
so like, and her, the way she was so happy, I was almost like, okay, so I don't have to make you happy. Like, you cool.
I'm just there
You
to add.
cool.
yes. You happy already?
Because I'm also happy. You cool. And so I think that plays a bigger role than we give credit to in terms of like the happiness, because the happiness of your space where you live is determined by the people that are in it.
Yeah.
And
Because you also can't be the one carrying everyone's happiness.
Yeah.
That's the
kids can also mess up their happiness in the house.
no, for sure.
They have the power to.
Yeah. Especially when they come unprepared.
Yeah.
That will definitely mess up some happiness.
No, it's
So before you get it, can I just say, and I don't know if this is the thing, but you are one of the happiest, most positive people I've ever met in my life. Like,
consistently.
Dude, it's a thing that I wish we had more people like that. Just with just the positive outlook on life in general. And I appreciate the fact that there's the line between, don't fuck with me. I'll knock on your door to sell you a Bible, but I'll also knock on your door to fight you.
I'll also knock you out.
Yeah.
Okay. Just on the issue so I'm not sure like what the conversations have been like, but for me, going through my period, I went to Bible school when I was in my late teens, early 20s for 2 years. And I'm actually currently in Bible school doing something else. And but I would not describe myself as religious anymore.
Yeah.
And that's been an important journey for me, because the way we raised in South Africa, we link our happiness to our religion.
Yeah.
And if things are not good with God, things are not good with me. And so a lot of us, including myself, because I've been in the journey, and I, like when I say I've been an intense Christian, I mean I've been an intense Christian. I've applied myself to it. And what you do is your whole center of being, and this is hugely controversial, because most South Africans believe that you have to have God as your center for your happiness to make sense. And so my journey, because I've walked that road, and yes, a consciousness of God and what He's doing for you or whatever can give you a perception that you are happy, and it might be more, and perception is reality. Yeah. So if that's your perception, then yes, you are really, you're living that.
Yeah.
But for me, the journey has been to find the person in me that needs to be at peace with me without an external factor. That's because the moment I'm not good with God, I'm depressed. And I've been through those moments where you sin. And people who are Christian, or I'm not sure if other religions treat sin in the same way. When you're in your sin, you're in a depression.
Yeah.
And you're deep in that depression. And no matter how good your life is, because your life is not good with God, you can't raise yourself out of that depression. And so you start spiraling and doing other things because you're like, we're just going to eat the whole cake. I was on diet. I ate one slice and eat the whole cake. So and you go all in. And so for me, finding peace has been separating that happiness from I have to be religious to find that happiness. And I know that's controversial.
No,
people might even be surprised here coming from me. But it's been my lived experience.
I think it's just as if you're going to say it's controversial, then it's just as controversial. The thing you alluded to by going, you are not responsible for your fro's happiness. One of the things that attracted you to her most was that she took responsibility for her happiness, because I don't think you should be responsible for anybody's happiness. And when I say so, it's not that you don't want to make people happy, but I think people want to make you the custodian of their happiness. Where I go, everybody has to be the custodian of their own happiness. So like as a husband, you can be a catalyst. So you can amplify that happiness. You can be a caretaker. You can nurture it and protect it and make sure it. But to be responsible for it, for its creation, is a near impossible thing. And I think a lot of people go through life miserable because they're waiting for other people to make them happy.
Have you ever done that where you felt that you went beyond custodian and you wanted to like make this happiness in this home? Or in your mother's home, whatever.
Done the
opposite, maybe. Yeah. But I've done and it's the most soul destroying thing to try and be the catalyst to start someone's happiness and see that they're just not doing the right things to find their happiness. You know, because you feel like it's you that's to blame because of their sadness, when in actual fact it's like it's the same as a drug addict. You can't take a drug addict to rehab. They must make the decision to go to rehab before they get fixed. Yeah. So it's the same way, like your brother from Malawi would say, some people are happy being unhappy. There's nothing I can do.
I've not only done that, but I've also had breakups where I had to cite that I have to end this because you don't want to be happy, and I'm not in a space where I can carry
I can bring you
or that. Yeah. I've given
we
many
must
opportunities
be here, side
for you to decide. And that in itself was devastating, brah. That person's friends would call me out for years because you know how things get diluted. You're the guy that left somebody for not being happy. And then I'm like, no, you clearly didn't understand it. It's like, and a lot of people also have this unrealistic perception that being happy means, and I got a lot of this over my career from people in and outside of the industry, where people start treating you like you think you're a hippie. You're one of those kumbaya. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, happiness doesn't mean that, you know, every single day.
Does someone actually say that?
Many times, my friend. Many times. Happiness, they even wrote skits about it at Comics Choice. There was a couple of inclusions
This
about how happy. No, in the
Yeah,
early the drama years.
Okay.
Of,
The best
of-
years.
yeah, your favorite years. Your favorite
The
years.
best years.
But it's such a big deal that once you figure it out, you also start gravitating to people who are independent in their happiness. And that doesn't mean you can't make people happy, but you
Yeah.
can't create their happiness. You can
And
amplify
maintain.
it and help it grow. But again, I wish we had more time. I can't thank you enough for your time. I also just want to make sure that you know what an inspiration you are for the entire industry and have been. It's not just that you're one of the best we've ever seen do the thing on stage, but it's the human you are off stage. And you sit in a very elite category for me. And that category is filled with people like Mark Lottering, Nick Rabinovitz. And I bring those two up specifically because I was massive fans of both of them before starting stand-up comedy, and then became an even bigger fan when I got to engage with them off stage. Because if you think Mark Lottering is lovely on stage, wait till you meet him. If you think Nick Rabinovitz is a lovely man on stage, wait till you meet him off stage. If you think Carvin Goldstone is a lovely man on stage, wait till you experience the power of Carvin off stage. So thank you for being a light, brah. And thank you for being just clear and sensible and just such a phenomenal example, not only to me, but I think to so many people. We wrap up with the Goliath Happiness Index. 3 quick questions. You rate them 1 to 5. 1 being can't be worse, 5 being can't be better. We believe that those 3 little words, gratitude, acceptance, perspective, if you're able to apply them every day, you get to just live an overall happier life and find more happiness in the moment. So from a gratitude perspective on the index, where are you? Where's Carvin? 1 to 5, gratitude.
Gratitude with 1 meaning that
1, you have no gratitude. 5, you couldn't have more gratitude.
1 I can have no gratitude. But so I'm happy to be here. So I'm off 1, right?
No, so then you're 5. If you're happy, if you're great, that means you have gratitude in your life. You experience gratitude constantly.
But where do we go when the food comes? From 5.
No, that's what I'm asking you. So where are you? So that's why you
Because
can
when the
be
food comes, we're gonna go higher.
100%. So then you're on a 4.
We're gonna be
You
off
can
the
go to
scale.
a 6. You can go to a 6.
I mean,
That's it.
How happy does food make
So
you?
can I just like interpret it in my own
Please,
way?
bruh.
So let's say 1 is the base, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say 1. Below 1 is you're unhappy, you're depressed.
Yeah.
Let's have 3 as the base.
Okay, let's have 3 as the base. So if 3 is the base, I'm at 3 because right now in this moment I'm at a good level of happiness.
Love it.
The food doesn't come, I'll drop to 2.
Good.
I miss my flight, I might
Drop
drop
to 1.
So
What time is your flight?
So I've got space to move
Yeah.
around here. But when the food comes, I'm up to 4.
Eric, is the food here? Oh, the food is
But
here.
I don't think I'm gonna hit 5 because I have to leave space for really awesome things to happen.
No, that's
When you
that
have
is-
another life.
Yeah, which might happen.
That is fantastic. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, the more you have, the less I have to have. That's how my brain literally works it out. I swear to God, that's literally how my brain works it out. Anybody that asks me to have kids, I go, no, my sister's got kids and my wife's sister has kids. I don't need kids.
Yeah,
We are
yeah,
fine. Acceptance, accepting who you are, where you are, what you are, why you are, 1 to 5.
Except I would say I'm at 3 again because I feel like I don't know myself as much as I should know myself.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is the more you know, the more you don't know.
It's
So
like
about
getting older.
anything.
When you're 20, you think you know everything. When you're 40, you know nothing.
So knowing that, reflecting on Carvin Goldstone even 5 years
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
I'm like, you thought you knew who you were.
No, COVID showed us flames. Guys, COVID showed us
You
flames.
thought you knew yourself. So with that hindsight, I know that if I go, 5, I accept. I know I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
Because in 10 years, the perception's going to be different.
Yeah. So maybe in this moment I'm thinking, but
I'll take it 3.
I'll take a 3.
I'll
there,
take
yeah.
it 3. Perspective in terms of being able to manage how you see the world, the 5%, 95%, how you react to things that you shouldn't react, and how you manage your peace, 1 to 5.
Yeah. So it's interesting the way you
Sorry.
described it because this is an area I would definitely say.
Sorry, this is a call center and I'm on Do Not Disturb, but it also means we've been talking for more than an hour.
Right. Perspective. Okay, so this may be surprising based on this discussion we've had, but I'm gonna say if 3 is like the base, I would still put myself at like a 2. If 3 is the medium, because being able to perceive is about having multiple points of view and seeing the world through your eyes and your eyes. And because I spend a lot of time, as you probably imagine, reading and trying to understand things.
Yeah.
And so there's so many perspectives I just don't understand.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation. Well, I don't have conversations, for example, about things like Israel and Palestine, because as much as I've read and read and read on it,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't have a perspective that's worth communicating
Yeah.
because I don't have all the perspectives.
Yeah, I like
So-
that. Not that you don't have a perspective, but one that's worth communicating.
Yeah, I don't have one that I'm willing to die on a hill for, or whatever the
Yeah.
case is. And that's why I said to you I don't do podcasts, because I'm not sure of the perspectives that I have. Have they been tested? Have they been tested by other perspectives? Because the more your perspective is challenged by other perspectives, the more you
have to question.
and if your perspective is your reality, your reality is being challenged of who you are and what you thought was true. And so, that's like you can even have a bit of a meltdown. But like cognitive dissonance is the inability to really like cognitively understand that you believed was wrong.
Yes. Yes.
And your brain
Because you
starts
thought you were right. You felt right.
yeah,
You
and
believed you were right.
your brain starts making like adjustments. No, that can't be wrong. That must be wrong.
Yeah.
If you believe that the sun was,
The world is flat.
the world is flat, and then like your brain just can't process, so it starts doing to get
Yeah.
it back to where it was. And so because of that, I'm gonna say my perspective. I need work in perspective, and that'll be till the end of my life. I expect.
I
feel
think
like-
that will always be. But I also feel like you're doing yourself a disservice. Because I know that you're thinking deep into the perspective, but in the context of this conversation, just your ability to see something happen, taxi hits your car, you
Yeah.
don't immediately react and lose your mind. You shift the way that it's not, the taxi didn't come and attack you. It was an accident.
Yeah,
So it's that.
Yeah.
And I want to disagree with you for a change.
yeah. Oh wow.
Because I
all
feel
happening
like
today.
No, I feel like that was the best answer we've gotten out of all the episodes we've ever done, because it in no way is a surrender, but it is the most educated, I think, Goliath Happiness Index we've ever had, because it creates such perspective. And I think that what I learned just from that was leave room for happiness. Leave some room to be happy. So a lot of people sit on this couch, we ask the question, they're deeply inspired and deeply motivated, and they feel almost a compulsion
Obliged,
to an obligation to give us 555.
Or
Where
for, like,
100%
conservative,
to
yeah.
go, I'm fine. And every
I'd
now and
imagine
then,
that.
yes, you have 2 5s, and okay, let's be realistic around this because I know I'm going through this currently. But I think that one of the secrets to happiness is leave room for your happiness, and don't pretend, and be realistic, and almost expect the world to be unfair, because it is unfair. And if you just leave yourself with that little gap, I think it makes it a lot better. So thank you. I think that is the best answer we've got. You've changed some of my numbers. Leave room for happiness. Bra, we wish you the best
Thank you.
for Carvin season
It's your
2.
first podcast, done and dusted. Just like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Carvin
And you
season
didn't
2.
say anything too controversial.
Well, you see,
Yeah, well.
as I'm speaking, I'm also checking myself.
Yes.
Oh, I'm also scanning what I'm saying and
Yeah,
saying, how
yeah,
does
yeah.
what
Are
I'm
you
saying make
out
me
of
feel? I can feel the discomfort. I'm like, I can feel the discomfort with this.
So it's not like it
Yeah.
only happens in your gut. Sometimes it
No, you
happens
feel
in
it
your-
sometimes in your legs. Even.
Okay.
You feel the
okay.
discomfort.
Let me just try Eric Jansen. Got a cramp in my wallet. I got a cramp in my wallet.
I got a cramp in my
Oh my
wallet.
God. Thank you for joining us, my brother. Please
It's
look
been
into
pleasure.
that camera and tell people to watch the great Carvin Goldstone on the Happiness Economy podcast.
My name's Carvin H. Goldstone, and you can see me on the Happiness Podcast. I am the Happiness Economy Podcast, and I'm on YouTube with these two fine brethren, Eric Jansen in the back, making sure that we all comfortable. And of course, podcasting, it has many different shapes and forms, but this is the one that's about you being happier.
Love that.